Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive? We're looking at the aftermath of Hurricane Milton in Siesta Key.
Oh, yeah, this one is something else.
It is, right. Just the rawness of this footage one day after the storm.
Footage?
Yeah, it's a video, actually, shot by one of our listeners.
Wow.
And what's really got me hooked, besides the footage itself, is that his friend, Louisa, rode out the storm there.
No way.
Yeah, so you can imagine the tension,
Oh, absolutely.
especially knowing how these hurricanes can be.
And Siesta Key. I mean, talk about ground zero.
Exactly. It was October 10th, 2024, when he sets off from Miami.
Okay, so just hours after landfall.
Right, and you can already see, even just leaving Miami, gas is running low, traffic's jammed up.
Makes you realize how big these things are, how many people they touch.
It's not just the coast, it's everything around it, too.
And then you start seeing Milton's calling cards even before Siesta Key.
Oh, I know. Down power lines were just the beginning, it seems like.
You see that gas station south of Sarasota, roof completely gone.
That was unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Just rips it right off.
Makes you think twice about what we consider safe building, you know?
Right, because then you'll see the building next door, totally fine, hurricane windows.
I know. Like, why don't we do that more?
Big difference, being prepared or not.
I mean, that Taco Bell sign, totally flattened, but the building right there, fine.
Preparation is everything, right? You can't just hope for the best with these storms.
Exactly. You got to be ready.
So what's the scene like in Siesta Key then? What'd he find?
Well, you might think chaos, right? But it's almost this eerie calm.
Really?
Police checkpoints everywhere. You can't just go wherever you want.
Shows you how serious it is.
Right. Totally organized, but also like everyone's cut off.
And the damage.
You see buildings still standing, you know, they're built for this, I guess, but then that pool,
But pool.
it's totally buried. Just sand as far as the eye can see.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you don't just clean that up.
And it makes you think, even if Luisa's place is okay on the surface, what's lurking underneath, you know?
Exactly. It's those hidden costs.
Yeah.
That's what gets you after these things.
You start to think about what that means for people, for Louisa, financially.
Long term, too, not just the immediate cleanup.
It's easy to think, oh, house is standing, they're fine. But it's so much more than that.
Right, it's just the beginning, really.
So did he get to talk to any residents, get a feel for what they were going through?
Yeah, there's a few people, you can see it in their faces, this mix of thank God and what now?
I bet.
They're home, but what does that even mean at this point, right?
All right.
It's not just houses, though, right? You look at the ocean in this footage.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say something about that. It's like brown.
It's that murky brown, just churning.
Makes you wonder what's going back in with the tide, you know?
All that debris, the runoff, could be an ecological thing waiting to happen.
Right. Like, what does that do to the fish, the water quality?
Long-term stuff we don't even think about during the storm itself.
Exactly. It's not over when the wind stops.
So he's driving towards the Tamiami Trail, I guess heading inland.
Yeah, it's like the further inland he gets.
The less damage, right?
It's crazy how localized it can be.
Shows you, living on the coast, that's a choice. With a price tag.
No kidding, you see those beachfront places wrecked, makes you think twice.
And then the arbors, that really got to me.
Oh, that mobile home park. Heartbreaking.
Shows you who gets hit hardest too, right? Not just geographically.
Those homes stood no chance.
And you know those folks, they don't have the same resources to rebuild.
Like that family, cleaning up since dawn, he said. Just awful.
But there's resilience there, you gotta admit.
Oh, for sure. Picking up the pieces, literally.
That human spirit, right? Even when it's gotta be so hard to see past the damage.
There's a little bit of hope in that, isn't there?
And finding that 7-Eleven open in Venice, I mean, talk about a symbol.
Running on generator power, he said?
Cash only, but still. Life goes on.
Little things like that, I bet that meant the world to people.
Oh, for sure, a little normalcy in all that chaos.
Right, like, okay, maybe things will be all right. You don't think about the little things like, can I even get gas? He showed those lines.
Oh, right. After a storm, forget the damage for a second. You need fuel, water.
And power, obviously, that's huge.
You're cut off, completely reliant on whatever's trucked in. It's scary.
And the whole time, he's thinking about Louisa, hoping her place is okay.
Adds a personal stake to it, you know? Not just reporting, but hoping.
Totally, you feel that tension. Like, this could be good news or bad when he arrives.
So, what happened? Did we see Luisa's place?
Oh, yeah. The footage, you see him pull up, and the relief is palpable.
House is still there.
Standing. He kind of makes a joke about the garbage cans blowing away, but...
But that's something too, right? People don't secure things.
Exactly. Like, a little prep goes a long way, but even so.
Even with the house fine, what's Louisa feeling?
Power's still out. No telling when it's back. So much unknown.
That's the long tail of these things, the mental, the financial strain.
Especially Siesta Key, right? Tourism, that's got to be hit hard.
Takes time to bounce back from that, not just hammering some boards back together.
Makes you think of the bigger picture, you know?
What's the lasting impact, not just the immediate oh no moment?
This deep dive was incredible, honestly, seeing that raw footage.
It gives you a real feel for what it's like, not just news reports.
The resilience, though, that's what gets me cleaning up that 7-Eleven open.
People find a way, right? Life goes on, gotta start somewhere.
Makes you wonder about Louisa, about everyone there, what happens next. Yeah.
How they rebuild, what they learn, because this won't be the last hurricane, sadly.
That's the thing, right? This was Milton, but it could be anywhere, anytime.
Preparedness, support, that's what we can control, even if we can't stop the storms.
Makes you think, what can we do, even as listeners, to help those communities?
Because the headlines fade, but they're living with it, long after we've moved on.
That's something to think about, for sure. Thanks for diving in with me on this one.
Absolutely. Always fascinating to really get in there, you know.
Until next time, everyone, keep those heads up and stay curious.